Now, how interesting. It's a rematch. 5th of November 2024. It's Trump v. Biden again. How are you feeling about this campaign? What do you think your prospects realistically are?
So in 2016, we did great. In 2020, we did much better than 2016. Got millions and millions of votes more. And very bad things happened. Very, very bad things happened. And we're not going to let that happen again. But the COVID came in, and they used COVID for reasons other than COVID. And it was a disgrace, frankly, and that's what happened to our country. You look at the borders, you look at everything. Everything is bad with our country right now. It's gone so bad under this guy, the worst president in history. And we're going to do, I think, very well. The polls have us leading by a lot. And there was a lot of cheating going on, and we're going to get that cheating stopped, to work on that. I say to my people, don't worry about the votes. We got plenty of votes. You just make sure during that period, it used to be 1 day, now it's 40 days and 45 days and 48 days.
This is the mass mail-out ballots, yeah.
The ballots are a disaster. Anytime you have mail-in ballots, anytime you have mail-out or mail-in, they call them different names, anytime the mail is involved, you're going to have cheating. You're going to have cheating.
So have the states...
It's too bad people don't say it. They don't want to say it. But we are going to have, I think, a very good election. The way you win the election is, and you have to do this. I saw on a show the other day, they said, well, you have to allow a certain amount for cheating. I said, since when do you have to allow a certain amount for cheating on the other side? But you swamp them. You swamp them, and we win big. And all we do is we focus on that. And that's a bad lot. That's a bad, sick lot of people. They've destroyed our country. Look, they've allowed 15 million probably, that's the number, 15 million people. 15 million people, that's my opinion. Some people say it's a little bit less. What difference? It's bigger than most states. 15 million people to come in from prisons. They come from prisons, many of them. They come from mental institutions and insane asylums like Silence of the Lamb, Hannibal Lecter, I wonder if he's one of them. They're terrorists coming into our country, totally unchecked. We have no idea. They either hate our country or they're very stupid.
I mean, 2016, build a wall, that was one of the great slogans of that campaign. You built some of it.
I built most of it.
Not all of it, most of it.
Yeah.
Trump too. What does Trump term to do about the millions that have come and the millions, including thousands of Chinese, which I find quite extraordinary.
We're equal opportunity. We take from everybody. But Biden has no idea where they're coming from. We had the safest border in history 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. The safest border. I built 571 miles of wall, which is more than I said I was going to build, by the way. And then I was going to add another 200 miles. And this is despite opposition from some Republicans and all Democrats. And the wall made a big difference, but Mexico also contributed very greatly because they gave us free of charge tremendous numbers of, I would say, 28,000 soldiers, free of charge. And we had the best border we've ever had. Now we have the worst border in the history of the country.
How do you get it back? What are you going to do to stop this?
Very much like I did the first time. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to close up the borders. We're going to come in. You can come into the country, but you have to come in legally. Don't forget, I had policies that nobody ever even thought of. Remain in Mexico. How about that? You had to remain in Mexico. We would not accept you in our country unless you were approved to come through. And we had tough borders. You know, Biden likes going to the beach. You could see that. He's always in a bathing suit. It doesn't look good, but he thinks it does, and some advisor does. He could have gone to the beach if he would have left my policies in order, having to do with the economy, having to do with everything. If they would have left what we had, you wouldn't have had inflation. You would have been energy independent. We were energy independent, soon to be energy dominant. And now we get oil from Venezuela. It's not even believable. Do you know the crime in Venezuela is down 67%? You know why? Because they put all their criminals in our country. They put their gang members, their gang leaders, they moved them to America. And
well, it's not just people, though. It's fentanyl coming in.
Well,
making your cities ungovernable.
And it's human trafficking at levels that we've never seen before. We had it down to one of the lowest levels ever. It's a horrible thing. The human trafficking, mostly in women, horrible thing. You think of it as an ancient kind of a crime. It's not. And what's made it so big is the internet, believe it or not. I said, why would this be more than ever before? It's the internet. But they're coming in now. The human trafficking is, the traffickers are at levels that we've never seen before. It's unbelievable what's going on.
Can you deport people who come across the border
Yeah,
illegally?
you'll deport them. I'm going to deport them.
You are?
Yeah, sure, I'm going to deport them. They're here legally, especially these criminals. We're going to get them out right away. We have millions of criminals in our country that are up for murder and drug dealers and everything else. What's happened to our country is not even to be believed. These people they're destroying our country. Maybe, and some people would say they've destroyed it. Look at the crime in the cities. We have a new crime. It's called migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime because he's allowed this to happen. New York City has 500,000 migrants. Kids can't play Little League anymore. People can't move around the city anymore. People are being mugged. Policemen having fistfights in the middle of a street. Where did you ever see that? They're having fistfights. Now, in their country, they'd be shot immediately. In this country, they're politically correct, okay? But we're going to do things to help our law enforcement. We're going to get them immunity so they can't get arrested and charged and destroyed, lose their house.
So tougher policing.
Yeah, if they stop crime, they're going to be able to stop crime.
We learned in 2020 that the big social media giants, there were things they did not want the American people to discuss. The laptop, the Hunter Biden laptop being a very good example of that. Your speech in Ohio the other day, talking in that state that's been associated with car making for over 100 years, and just flicking through American press particularly, Trump says there'll be a bloodbath if he doesn't win the election. What is happening with, I mean, clearly you were talking about an economic bloodbath in terms of the car manufacturing industry and what China was doing, setting up in Mexico, and yet this is what's being pushed, picked up by left-wing media sources all over the world. It's quite interesting.
Well, it happens all the time. So bloodbath, talking about it's going to be a bloodbath in the auto industry because we're going to lose our whole industry because this guy's going to all electric cars and they're made in China. That's where the material is. That's where the minerals are. That's where everything is. They're going to all be made in China. And they want to go all electric cars. One of the dumbest, they don't go far, they cost too much, et cetera, et cetera. And if you want electric, you can get electric, but you've got to have other forms of propulsion. And we're going to have that. We're going to have gasoline. We have more gasoline than any country in the world, meaning oil and gas. And we have it, and they don't want us to use it. You figure that one out. So the electric mandate's going to destroy the auto industry. And I said, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a terrible bloodbath for the auto industry. They're being led right down there. They have a leader that would only go Democrat, I guess, because I'm going to create, I guarantee you that the people within that industry, or all the workers, are with me, because the United Auto Workers, it's going to be put out of business.
That's really interesting, because it is part of the shift. And I noticed the way that bloodbath's been used. It's no surprise that GBN America, many British titles are doing well in America. I get a feeling American people increasingly don't trust American media titles.
Well, they don't trust, but you know, when you use the word bloodbath, I did a little Truth the other day. Truth is on fire. It's doing great. And I put it out this morning, I guess it was put out, and it talks about the word bloodbath, and all of the people that are complaining about it, they all used it. It's a commonly used phrase when you're getting slaughtered economically, when you're getting slaughtered socially, when you're getting slaughtered. And they use it all the time. And we have many examples, and we put out all those examples. But that doesn't stop it.
Some incredible polling from the black community. More than double the numbers of the black community supporting you this time to just 4 years ago. The Hispanic community, I mean, the change that is going on there. What is it that's attracting those traditionally Democrat-type voters to you? What's happening here? What's the issue?
Different communities. So with the black community, I'm getting tremendous polling. Nobody's ever seen it like for a Republican. I did criminal justice reform. They know it. I did opportunity. Look, I gave them opportunities that nobody's ever given. The opportunity zones and all of the other work that I've done with Tim Scott, a great senator from South Carolina, and a great guy, by the way. He ran, and I say he promotes me better than he promoted himself. He's unbelievable. He goes and he said, I don't like talking about myself. I said, that's actually a nice trait.
Was that his audition to be the VP?
Yeah, well, he's one of the many people that people talk about, and he's certainly a very capable guy, but he's been incredible. But we did opportunity zones. But think of it, criminal justice reform, opportunity zones, and I funded the black colleges and universities. And nobody did that. For years and years, they didn't do it. They just wouldn't do it. And I did it. I got it funded for a long time for 3 years, the heads of these universities, I'd have on average probably 45, 50 people come every year. I said, why do you keep coming? Why? They said, because one of them said to me, rough, he said, they make us like we're like the old days, like from 150 years ago. And you know it, he said, they make us feel like beggars. And I said, why? He said, they make us come back every year. I said, we're going to take care of you long term. And I took care of them long term. I said, the only bad thing, I got them a lot of money, got them more money than they asked for the colleges, and they perform a very important function, and they do a great job. And so I took care of them, Nigel, and I said, the only bad thing is I've gotten to like you guys, and I'll never see you again. I probably will never see them again, but they don't have to come to Washington every year. Black people saw that. Hispanics, very entrepreneurial people. Yeah. They like me, I like them. I mean, I'm leading all along Texas and the Texas.
And kind of family values as well, perhaps quite important.
I think there's family values.
Christianity quite important in that community?
I think so. All of the things, look, we're doing so well. Nobody's ever done well with the Hispanics like I've done, with the black community. The whole thing has been amazing. Asian community. We're doing well with women, it just came out, because women want security. They want to have security. Other countries are laughing at us. We have Iran building a nuclear weapon. That would have never happened with me.
There's one family that never goes away from the headlines. It's the royal family. Both sides of the pond. We talk about it constantly. And of course, one of our recent exports to you is Prince Harry, who of course is living on the West Coast. Really interesting. You know, he's written this book, Spare, in which he openly admits to taking psychedelic drugs, to taking cocaine, to taking cannabis, and no one knows the truth. What did he put on his American visa form? Now, we know that you're not a great fan of him or Meghan. We've talked about that before. But don't the American people deserve to know the truth about what went on that visa form?
Well, I guess so. I mean, I haven't spoken about him in a long time. I think there was great disrespect done to a person that I got to know very well and liked, the Queen. She was unbelievable. You know, I got to know her very well. Remember, I was supposed to be with her for 10 to 15 minutes, and we ended up being like for 2 hours. And then we had dinner the following night. It was such a beautiful, honoring the country, but the President of the United States. Really, I would think the country, but they were honoring me. And I got to know her very well over the course of the couple of years, and she was unbelievable. And I thought she was treated very disrespectfully by them. Very, very. She, you know, I would say, although she wouldn't show it because she was strong and smart, but I would imagine they broke her heart. The things that they were saying were so bad and so horrible. And she was in her 90s and hearing this stuff. I think they broke her heart.
No, it was horrible.
I think they really hurt her very bad.
But if he's lied on his visa form, doesn't the truth need to come out?
We'll have to.
I mean, should he get special privileges that nobody else does?
No, and we'll have to see if they know something about the drugs, and if he lied, he'll have to take appropriate action.
Appropriate action?
Yeah.
Which might mean not staying in
I
America.
don't know. You'll have to tell me. You just have to tell me. You would have thought they would have known this a long time ago. But I thought they were very disrespectful to the family, to the royal family. I'm a big fan of the concept of the royal family and the royal family. Now, I'm a little prejudiced because I thought the Queen was incredible. I mean, think of it. All those years, 75 years, she's almost never made a mistake.
It's almost unbelievable.
Right? You know, I see politicians, they make mistakes every day. Biden, every day he makes a mistake.
Well, we all make mistakes.
He can't talk. He can't put two sentences together. She never, made a mistake. If you think about it, everything was, and it was a very interesting thing. So when I was with her, and it turned out to be a real relationship, somehow we just got along. And she said it to people, and I say it to people. But I said, who is your favorite prime minister? Oh, I like them all. Oh, they were all wonderful, weren't they? I said, well, yeah, but did you like Winston Churchill the best? Who did you? Oh, he was lovely. But no, I liked every one of them. I liked them all. I said, and I couldn't get her to say, well, I couldn't do it. I tried. And then I said, who is your favorite president? Honestly, I liked them all so much. They were all so wonderful. But didn't you like Ronald Reagan the best? No, I thought he was wonderful. But I liked them all. I got along with everyone. And I realized this was genius, because I don't walk out saying she liked this one, she liked that one. She liked them all. She liked them all. She was unbelievable. And, you know, when you see the people, the lightweights that we have to watch today and nowadays and watching, like our president, He goes every day. He can't speak. She went through years and years, decades and decades.
I mean, look, she was
without making a mistake.
Incredible woman, and of course Charles had a long wait to be king, and now he's got cancer. And I know that you and he have got some slightly different views on things, but
no, we have different views. We got along. I think he's a really wonderful guy. We got along. He was a little bit more into environmental restriction than I am.
Yeah.
I'm an environmentalist, I feel, in a true sense, but I'm a different kind of environmentalist. You know, I want to get things built. I want to get things done. He was very much into the environment, and he meant it from the heart. No, I got to know him very well. I like him, and I hope he's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and Kate, of course, who, I mean, so many of us have felt that Kate, she's obviously been ill, had a major surgery. A photograph that the press say was doctored, now an enormous row. It's pretty tough being in her position, isn't it?
Well, that shouldn't be a big deal, because everybody doctors. You look at these movie actors and you see a movie actor and you meet him and you say, is that the same person in the picture? And I looked at that, actually, and it was a very minor doctoring. I don't understand why there could be such a
I think she'll be back. I think she'll be back.
She's hard. She's. I mean, it's a rough period that, you know, they went after her.
The whole family's having a rough. Now, the massive debate back across the pond is NATO.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking NATO every day. It was your comments about them not paying enough, not paying 2%. And you said this back in 2017 and 18 when you were president. You visited Brussels. You said it again recently. You made a comment, well, the Russians can do whatever they want if these guys don't pay. Well, that's now being used.
Well, they can use it. I don't really care if they use it, because what I'm saying is that's a form of negotiation. Why should we guard these countries that have a lot of money? And the United States was paying for most of NATO. And when I went there, and I already had it out with them, and now they stopped paying again. But now they're paying because of those comments that you saw 2-3 weeks ago. I don't know if you know, but a lot of money's come in since those comments were made.
Yeah.
So NATO was not paying. And I said, well, the United States, they take advantage of the U.S. on trade like crazy, you know, as bad as almost anybody. And then on top of it, the NATO, with largely similar countries, the same countries, NATO, they weren't paying their bills. And I went to the first meeting and I saw that. I didn't want to do it my first meeting, I just got there. But I went to the first meeting early in my administration and I saw what was going on, and I said, you're going to have to pay your bills, everybody. And the second meeting, I hit them hard. And the question was asked by the head of a major country in front of everyone else, 28 countries at the time, including us. They said, so if we don't pay our bills, are you going to protect us from Russia? I said, you mean you're delinquent? You're not paying the bills? Yes. Nope, I'm not going to pay you. We're not going to do it. We're not going to defend you. If you're not paying your bills, we're not going to defend you. It's very simple. And hundreds of billions of dollars came flowing in. Now, if I say, yes, I am, they're not going to pay their bills. Why would they do that? Obama would go make a speech. Bush would go make a speech. And frankly, my biggest fan, I don't know if that's still true, I would hope so, the Secretary General,
Mr.
Stoltenberg, was, he couldn't believe it. He said, I can't believe it. He got people to pay up hundreds of billions of dollars, and NATO became strong because of me. Now, NATO has to treat the U.S. fairly, because if it's not for the United States, NATO literally doesn't even exist. But they took advantage of us, like most countries do.
Okay, I mean, this is being used in Brussels as we've got to have a European defence force, even talk of Brussels having a nuclear weapon. Let's just try and get somewhere on this. If they start to pay their bills properly and the club is fair, are places like Poland defended? Will America be there?
Yeah, but the United States should pay its fair share, not everybody else's fair share.
No, fair enough.
I believe the United States was paying 90% of NATO, the cost of NATO. It could be 100%. It was the most unfair thing. And don't forget, it's more important to them than it is to us. We have an ocean in between some problems, okay? We have a nice, big, beautiful ocean. And it's more important for them. They were taking advantage, and they did. They took advantage of us on trade, and they took advantage on
So if they play fair, if they start to play fair, America's there?
Yes, 100%, 100%.
Thank you. So the other big one, of course, is Ukraine. America has given $75 billion to Ukraine. And
much more, double, maybe triple that.
Huge amounts of money. You've said before you believe a negotiation can take place to find peace. You could sort it out quickly. But is Putin the kind of man we can negotiate with?
Yeah, I think he is.
Do you?
So we did very well with him. Look, you know, I'm the one that was the one, I stopped the pipeline, Nord Stream 2. People don't realize that. You know, they say, I like Putin. I got along with Putin great. I got along with President Xi great. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. But I stopped the pipeline. Putin would say, if you're like supposed to be my friend, I'd hate to see you when you were my enemy, because I had it done. And then Biden came in and right away he approved it. Going to Germany and all over Europe. The pipeline must be just about the biggest pipeline.
Putin responds to strength, you believe?
Excuse me?
Putin responds to strength.
I don't know. I don't know what he responds to. He responded to me. I can tell you one thing. He certainly wouldn't have gone into Ukraine. No way. And he didn't. You know, people say, well, how do you know that? Even Democrats say he wouldn't have gone if I were president. You wouldn't have Ukraine. You wouldn't have had Israel. The attack on October 7th would never have taken place. Iran was broke. They had no money. I said, anybody that buys oil from Iran can't do business in the United States. And Biden comes along and he lifted everything. Now Iran has $221 billion, $221 billion. On top of that, we gave them $6 billion for a couple of hostages, for 5 hostages. Yep. $6 billion, that's a lot. That's a lot of money. And we gave them $10 billion for electric bills to Iraq. Now, why are we involved with electricity for Iraq, and they don't treat us with great respect, in all fairness? Essentially, they're a subsidiary of Iran, if you think about it. And that's the way it is. So
we're facing all these problems. We've got a Conservative Party in the UK in a rapid downward spiral, it would seem, if you believe the opinion polls and see the arguments. A Labour Party massively ahead in the polls. Sir Keir Starmer is almost certainly going to be the next British Prime Minister. I just wondered, has he reached out to you at all in any way?
I'm not reaching out. I'm not president right now. I'll reach out if it's appropriate. It's not my job to reach out.
He's not reached out to you.
Many of them call me, many foreign leaders. I had Viktor Orban here, who was a very powerful leader in Hungary and prime minister. And he actually said the reason the world is exploding is because Trump's not president. If Trump were president, none of these things would be happening.
Well, we also got China to think about. And our friends at Sky News Australia wanted me to ask you this. The AUKUS deal that's in place on nuclear submarines, America, you know, the UK, Australia, very, very important deal. It's there to try and combat that huge growth, naval growth in China. But now, of course, things have changed in Australia. We've got a Labour government in Australia. The previous ambassador, Joe Hockey, I think was quite a good friend of yours. You got on pretty well with him. Now they've appointed Kevin Rudd, former Labour MP. I mean, he has said the most horrible things. You were a destructive president, a traitor to the West. And he's now Australia's ambassador in Washington.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Would you take a phone call from him?
He won't be there long if that's the case. I don't know much about him. I heard he was a little bit nasty. I hear he's not the brightest bulb, but I don't know much about him. But if he's at all hostile, he will not be there long.
Fair enough. Finally, are you looking forward to this campaign, this election?
I've been campaigning.
How are you doing it? You've got all these legal cases mounting up. They valued Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
At $18 million. I mean,
because the courts are rigged.
What's going on?
The courts are rigged. They did. They valued it. It had an appraisal at $1.5 billion, $1 billion, $2 billion. Who knows what it's worth? It's worth, because that was good for their narrative. So they valued it at $18 million because it's a crooked legal system, very crooked. That's why people are leaving New York. Companies are fleeing New York because of even this decision. They're leaving New York. And no, they come after me because I'm in the election. If I didn't run, or if I was in 4th place or 5th place or 9th place, there'd be no attacks. And if we don't win, I'll tell you, I made the statement the other day, November 5th, that's election day.
Yep.
Not that far away. November 5th is going to be the most important day in the history of our country. With that being said, 7 months is a long time when you have somebody as destructive and incompetent as this president. That's a long time. A lot of bad things can happen to our country in that 7 months.
Donald Trump, thank you.
Thank you.